Happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope you're doing well. You know, one of the great things about woodworking is you're always learning new things. And what I'm learning right now is about my lathe. I just got it in December, and I really hadn't had a chance to really play with it. So I'm going to play with it today. I'd like to thank Dima at Dima's Wood Shop. Dima sent me 3 steel rods for carbide tip tools to make your own carbide turning tools. So today I'm going to make a handle and make my own carbide tip turning tool. So if you want to see how I did it, stick around.
I started with the glue up. I had 2 pieces of walnut and I placed a piece of maple in between. I like to use my fingers spreading the glue out simply because you can't feel any sawdust or hard pieces of glue with a brush, so it gets it evenly spread out. With the clamps clamped down, once I get them on, I take the squeeze out and wipe it off the best I can. And then once it dried overnight, I took it over to my miter saw and squared up both ends on the piece. It wasn't exactly square, so I took my gauge and squared it off as best I could to find the center on each side. I then took the awl and punched me a hole in each end to be able to give me a starting point to be able to set it up on my lathe. I start with my roughing gouge to be able to turn it down to a basic round shape. By no means am I trying to teach how to wood turn. I just want to share with you my experience and me learning what I'm doing. A neat trick Carl Jacobson showed me is if you lay the tool up on the turning object and you feel the vibration in it, that's where you need to bring it down a little more to get it a smooth, even flow. So I thought that was a pretty neat little trick to lay that lathe tool across the turning piece to feel the vibration, to know where you can turn down more to give it smoothness. I got some copper caps to use as my ferrules, and I just measured the inside measurements and length of it to be able to mark it on the piece to be able to turn it down to fit the ferrule. I then took my parting tool and from the line forward began cutting down to be able to fit the ferrule. Towards the end, I switched over to, I believe it was the skew, the flat lathe tool, just to take off my new little small bits to get it down to size. I couldn't wait to see how well I did, to see if it fit, so I took it off to make sure it did fit, and it fit really well, and I was going to try to turn it with the cap on, and that didn't work. And the problem I ran into was when I put it back on the lathe, it was a little bit off from where it was. So it really didn't hurt what I just cut, but what it did was off center it, so I had to go back and clean up the rest of it because it was off center. So after I got it cleaned up, I did take it back off and went ahead and drilled the hole to be able to put the cap on, and that way I can clean it up nicely with the skew chisel, which is what I'm doing now. This brings it down to the final dimensions of what I'm looking for. And again, I'm no expert. I was just kind of playing with it, trying to find the shape that I was looking for and wanting. And I think it really turned out well for my first lathe tool. I started sanding with 150 and then moved up to 220 and up to 320. And even though you can't see me, I did wear my shield during the turning, and I am wearing a dust mask because this does create a lot of dust and you don't want to breathe this in. I used a fast friction polish to be able to give it a nice pop, and this really made it shine. And also wanted to thank Linn over at the Darbin Orban channel. She had sent me some of her linseed oil and beeswax, and this stuff was great. I put this on there as well, and to give it some good protection. And I really appreciate that, Linn, and I'm proud to use your product on my first turning. Once I parted it off the lathe, I took it over to my disc sander and just sanded it smooth down to the end and added a little polish to the end of that. Then inserted the steel rod to the end with some epoxy, and there you go. You have a lathe tool.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's project. I had a lot of fun turning this and learning a lot about the lathe. I want to thank Dima again for sending the tip to be able to make this, and also for Linn for sending the beeswax and linseed oil mix. That was real nice. I appreciate that. One down, got a few more holes there that I could fill, so we're going to turn a few more. Appreciate you watching, and always remember, be kind to one another.